I'd like to give all glory and praise and honor unto the Most High. And we're going to get into it today, man. Today what we're going to be looking at is, I say we should be talking about is, the Chinese and them being Moab, because, a lot of the camps, they like to say that the Chinese and the Japanese are Moab and Ammon, but, that's incorrect, man, And I've been meaning to do this video for a while, but I just kept postponing it for some reason. But I've been led to it. But when you first come into the truth, a lot of the camps, you hear that a lot. The Chinese and the Japanese, Moab and Ammon. But when you start studying for yourself, you see that the Chinese are actually Hamites, man. You know what I mean? There's a line of them that's Hamites. There's a line of them that comes from Ham, and there's a line that comes from Japheth. That's just like saying all black people come from Ham, which is incorrect. You know what I mean? Some of us may look alike, but we all don't come from Ham. So we're gonna get into that today, man. But we're gonna look at it, man. Let's go. Genesis chapter 10, 15 through 18, and it says, and Canaan, and we know Canaan is the firstborn son of Ham. He was a Hamite. So let's go. And Canaan begot Sidon, his firstborn, and Heth, and the Jebusite, and the Amorite, and the Girgashite, and the Hivite, and the Archite, and the Sinite, and the Arvadite, and the Zemarite, and the Hamathite. And afterwards were the families of Canaan spread abroad. So this was his sons. I think he had about 11 sons. So right now we're gonna focus more on the verse 17 where it says the Sinite, and the Hivite and the Hittites. So we're gonna focus on that. The Hittites are also some of his sons, his lineage. So yeah, let's go to Isaiah chapter 49. 12. It says, behold, these shall come from afar, and lo, these from the north and from the west, and these from the land of Sinim. So the land of Sinim. We just read it in verse 17 where you saw Sinite. That was one of the names of one of his sons. And right here, Isaiah 49 is talking about the land of Sinim. So we're gonna look up where that's at. So Sinim, so the South Country. Sinim, a people noticed in Isaiah 49:12 as living at the extremity of the known world. They may be identified with the classes Sino, the inhabitants of the southern part of China. So it identifies those people from Sinim with the classical Sino, as the inhabitants of the southern part of China. So let's keep going. Scroll down some more. So right here, Sinim again, a people very remote from the Holy Land towards the east or south, generally believed to mean the Chinese, who have been known to Western Asia from early times, and they were called by the Arabs Sin, and by the Syrians Sini. That's probably a silent T. So, but you see the etymology. You keep seeing, Sin, Sini, Sinim, Sino. You keep seeing that. So let's keep going. So right here, I looked up the word Sino, and it says, Chinese and relating to China, and then that popped into my head, the Sino-Japanese War, and that was a war between the Chinese and the Japanese when they were fighting for that influence over the Korean peninsula, So Sino-Japanese. Sino, Japanese, Sino is China, Chinese. Like you see in the Bible, Sinim, telling you that was Chinese. It also tells you that the Arabs call them Sin, or the Syrians, I think it was, Let's keep going. We're just gonna start with the highlighted parts, and I'm gonna keep going. So it says the Chinese associate the origin of their civilization with the capital of Shaanxi, namely Xiangfu, translated father of sin. In the Assyrian records, Sangfu appears as Sainu. Likewise, the Hebrew suffix denotes plurality, meaning the singular of sinum is sin, which is a possible abbreviation of Sinai, the Hebrew word for China. You know what I mean? There we go. So, and I'm just scroll down to the bottom. They also say right here, Sinum is possibly the land of China. There you go. I mean, so right here, you know, like I was saying, there's two lines. You know, you have right here from Ham to Canaan. You know, you have, and then you have the Sinites, which were his sons, one of his sons. You know, the Canaanites. You know, but then you have a line from Japheth that called, you know, to Gomer, and they're called the Ma'al people. You know, and they look Asian. They look Asian too. You know. You know? But we know that, you know, Moab and Ammon are from Shem. You know, Moab and Ammon is from Shem. You know what I'm saying? But right here, you seen that these are Canaanites. You know what I mean? And you got another line that's, you know, like I said, we're from Japheth. You know, but they look Asian. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about the line from Japheth. You know. You know, like they call them the Mao people. Oh, you think about the etymology, Mao Zedong, which was one of the prime ministers of I think China at one time. So you have, and then you also have, it says right here, they the Han. Remember the Han dynasty? I mean, which was one of the you know, one of the greatest dynasties of China. You know, they call them the Han. I mean, that could be, you know, after their forefather Ham. You know what I'm saying? The Han dynasty, man. You know, that was one of the greatest dynasties ever. You know, there was a lot of technical, you know, advancements during that period. You know what I mean? Let's keep going. So right here, let's read this. It says, all people today came out of Babel. Tower of Babel is talking about, including the Chinese people. The Chinese came from the line of Noah's son Ham, the grandson of Canaan. Some of these descendants were called Canaanites. One group of Canaanites was called Sinites, like the Sinai Peninsula. The names in the area reflect the names of Sinius, or the Sinites, or such as Mount Sinai, where Moses received the 10 Commandments. The Chinese are descendants of the original Sinites, and most call themselves Han, from Ham, one of Noah's 3 sons. China in ancient times was called the land of Sinites, of the Sinites. This name is still used, and the Bible even calls this distant land the land of Sinum. Not all people in China are Sinites, though. I mean, there are several people groups that made it to China. One group, the Ma'al people, have their ancestry through the Noah's son Japheth and his son Gomer. So you see, like I showed you before, you know, they're not all from Ham. I mean, there's a line that comes out of Japheth too. You know, like I was saying in the beginning, just like all black people don't come from Ham. You know what I mean? So, you know, so those camps saying that, you know, the Moabites and the Ammonites are the Chinese and the Japanese, that's wrong, man. I mean, because like I was saying, Moab and Ammon come from Shem. You know, so I was looking things up, man, and I came across this these hymns, and one of them was called the Canaan Hymns. And these are old hymns, you know what I mean? And it was, you know, it was Chinese. It was, you know, a Chinese woman that wrote these things. And I was thinking, like, okay, why did she call them Canaan Hymns? You know what I mean? The Canaan Hymns. It's back to their, you know, their father. These are the Canaanites. I mean, a line of them, I should say. You know, because like you said, he had 11. Canaan had about 11 sons. Let's keep going. I mean, the Canaan Hymns. Canaan Hymns, or Songs of Canaan, is a collection from Chinese hymns composed by I'm gonna jack that up, Liu Xiaoming a Christian convert peasant woman with no musical education. I mean, we get it in 1990s. So she called it the Canaan Hymns, man. Like, it's showing you that, yo, the Chinese are the, they're the Canaanites, man. I mean, a line of them are. I mean, from their son Sinim. So let's look at the Hittites. The Hittites are also, one of Canaan's sons. So this is from the Story of a Forgotten Empire. It says the identity of the Hittites of the Egyptian inscriptions like the Mongols. Moreover, their skins were yellow, and their oblique eyes and hair were black. The forehead retreated, cheekbones were high, and nostrils were large. They arranged the hair in the form of a pigtail, and their shoes with upturned toes. So, let me see. Oblique eyes. You know what I mean? What's that sound like to you? What's that description sound like to you? High cheekbones. I mean, let's keep going. Another book. It says the book Hittites and Their Language by Claude Conder describes the ethnology of the ancient Canaanite Hittite tribes as being a race of Asiatic Mongoloids. I mean, there you go once again. So the history of Genghis Khan the Great. Chapi of the Scythians or Tartars and ancient Mongols of Genghis Khan's. So they describe them as Scythians, Tartars, or Mongols. They all. I think they also describe, Genghis Khan as being a Canaanite. You know what I'm saying? Scythians, ancient Mongols. Let's keep going. So it says Scythians were a group of ancient tribes of nomadic warriors who originally lived in what is now southern Siberia. Their culture flourished from 900 BC to 200 BC, which by time they had extended their influence all over Central Asia, from China and to the northern Black Sea. You know what I mean? So we also know that I think it was not Genghis, but it was Kublai Khan. I think he was the grandson of Genghis. I think he was the first Mongol to conquer China. He was the first Mongol to ever conquer the Chinese and take over the empire. You know what I mean? So it says they had their influence all over Central Asia, from China to the northern Black Sea. Let's keep going. So the Huns. I mean, I don't know. One very famous Hun was Attila De Hun. Who was he was somebody that gave the Romans a lot of hell, man. You know what I mean? Ruthless warrior, man. But yeah, I mean, they call them the Huns. That, look at the etymology of the word, going back to Ham again. Huns, Ham, Han, dynasty. I mean, so the Huns were the same as. The Huns are the same as Mongols, so they're Mongols too. I mean, of Asian descent. Mongols are Asian. However, the Huns were very liberal, and when they settled in Europe, they took wives of non-Asian ethnicity, and their children became mixed. So the Huns became more European over time, but the original Huns were Asian, just like the Mongols. I mean, so the Huns, man. All right, so let's read a little bit of Attila. So. Have you ever wondered where Attila the Hun, a famous brutal warrior who shook Europe, namely the Great Roman Empire, is from? Some say his roots are from Central Asia, precisely Mongolia. Some say he is more closely related to Turkic. Right? See? So right here, this is from the book Arthur Kessler's 13 Tribes. It says, he says, even the Huns, whom of we knew much more, are of uncertain origin. Their name is apparently derived from the Chinese Hyanggu Nu. I butchered that, sorry. which designates warlike nomads in general, man. I mean, so he's telling you the Huns, apparently derived from the Chinese, man. So there's more sources. Let's keep going. So here's a slide, just from me watching a lot of videos, and it tells you right here. China was a very powerful Canaanite empire, which was later conquered by Kublai Khan, the first non-Chinese Mongol, which I was telling you before, so you see, they can't be Moab and Ammon can't be the Chinese and the Japanese, man. I mean, the Moab and Ammon are more than likely the Palestinians and the Jordanians. Not the Chinese and Japanese, man. But when you listen to the camps, man, a lot of those guys, they've been preaching that these things for years, and they're stuck in their ways, man. But if you just, like you said, the Most High said, yo, you got to study and show yourself approved, man. Amen. You got to study and show yourself approved. And I want to segue into talk about Canaan a little bit. Canaan and Ham. And why Noah cursed Canaan, man. Because when you read the story at face value, it tells you that Ham saw the nakedness of his father, and initially, like when you read it, you think that well, damn, he cursed him just because he seen him naked and he was laughing, like that's a little extreme, you know what I mean? But the story was deeper than that, man. When you study it more, it's something deeper that happened there, because no father's gonna curse their son over something that trivial, in my opinion, you know what I mean? It was something deeper that happened. So we're gonna take a look at it real quick. So Genesis 9:20 through 23, it says, and Noah began to be an husbandman, and he planted a vineyard, and he drank out of the wine and was drunken, and he was uncovered within his tent. And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father. I want you to remember that. He saw the nakedness of his father and told his two brethren without. And Shem and Japheth took a garment and laid it upon both their shoulders and went backward and covered the nakedness of their father. He said they went backward and covered the nakedness of their father. And their faces were backwards, and they saw not their father's nakedness. I mean, so it says Ham, the father of Canaan. So you see how they're stressing on that, though. You see how verse 20, Ham, the father of Canaan, you know what I mean? Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father. I mean, they're stressing, they're letting you know that Ham is the father of Canaan. I mean, why are they putting so much emphasis on that? Saw the nakedness of his father. Let's keep going. Leviticus 18, 7 through 11. The nakedness of thy father or the nakedness of thy mother thou shalt not uncover. She is thy mother. Thou shalt not uncover her nakedness. So verse 8. It says, the nakedness of thy father's wife thou shalt not uncover it. It is thy father's nakedness. This is important right here. The nakedness of thy father's wife thou shalt not uncover. It is thy father's nakedness. So what does it tell you that Ham did in the previous verse? It tells you he uncovered the nakedness of his father. So when they say he uncovered the nakedness of his father, that means it was his wife he was talking about. You know what I mean? So more than likely what happened was Ham slept with Noah's wife. You know what I mean? So when you uncover the nakedness of your father, that's talking about his wife, his spouse. I mean, that's what happened. That's why, that more than likely when that son, and she got pregnant. So when that son came out, you know what I mean? Noah, that's why Noah cursed it. That's why, like, yo, this is a cursed seed. You know what I mean? Let's keep going. I'm gonna go back to Genesis 9:20 again. Let's start off with 22. And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father and told his two brethren without. He saw the nakedness of his father. More than likely what happened was he slept with her. You know what I mean? Because well, who would curse their son? You know what I mean? Their sons, a brand new son. For that, for just seeing somebody naked. It was something that happened deeper, man. I mean, so I want you to, like I said before, I want you to pay attention to 22. And Ham, the father of Canaan, like the person that's writing this, he wants you to know. he's trying to let you know, like, look, this is not Noah's son. You know what I mean? Why are they stressing on that? They're putting a lot of emphasis on that. And let's go to another verse. Genesis 9:18. It says, and the sons of Noah that went forth out of the ark were Shem and Ham and Japheth. And Ham is the father of Canaan. You see, the person that's writing this, he's letting you know. Ham is the father of Canaan. More than likely, what they're showing you distinction, letting you know, like, this is not Noah's son. This Canaan is not Noah's son. It's Ham's son. Why? Because more than likely, when Ham saw the nakedness of his father, which he slept with his father's wife, she got pregnant with with Canaan. That's why they're letting you know, like, hey, this is a way of letting you know, like, hey, this is not my son. You know what I mean? Because his wife was probably pregnant. You know what I mean? And then he knew. He figured it out. Yeah, Ham is the father of Canaan, man. I mean, this is probably what happened, man. Yeah. So with that being said, hopefully this was edifying. Hopefully you learned something new. And yeah, man. They're not. Moab and Ammon is not the Chinese and the Japanese, man. I give all praises to the Most High, man, and I expect some heat to come with this one. But all praises to the Most High, man.